everybody, I'm Jay Rosen, the sommelier of wine cellars, and we're Washington Valley Cellars, custom builders and designers of wine cellars. Today, we're traveling to Warren, New Jersey to take a look at one of our latest projects. You know, I'm finding more and more of our clients are desiring having a wine cellar as part of the main floor plan of their homes rather than the basements or out in the garage or something like that. Unfortunately, most people's homes cannot accommodate an extra space on the main floor to create a wine cellar. The rooms are being used for dining rooms and living rooms and larger kitchens. This particular client wanted it so badly, he actually constructed a room just for a wine cellar. Now, it wasn't a complete construction because there was an extension of this deck here. So structurally, footings were in, the main support beams were in. They needed to be beefed up a bit. And then once they were, it was relatively simple to frame out an additional room. That's the room right behind me where we now have a beautiful wine cellar. So come on inside and let me show you how this client has enhanced his home by creating a wine cellar within the main floor of the home, enhancing his entertaining and going from there. So come on inside and I'll show you what we did. So we constructed this wine cellar right off the dining room. This was the door that went outside onto the deck, and this window was actually a window that looked out into the yard. The owner wanted to keep this window, so what we did is we sealed it off to make sure there was no outside air infiltrating into the wine cellar, any warmer air or whatever that could cause any kind of mold or mildew. So this has been sealed off. This was an exterior door, and we're using it to enter into the wine cellar. So come on in and let me show you what we've done. So what we did here is we stripped the siding from the house. This was the exterior wall of the house. It had insulation in it, but it was not sufficient insulation. There's a cathedral ceiling above this that was framed out, and there are open joists below this is the ground. So once the siding was stripped and the framing was completed and the plywood was put on the outside three walls, these three walls that you see are exterior walls. So it was really important to get a lot of insulation and vapor barriers in here since they're affected by the heat of the summer and the cold of the winter. So what we did is we used a spray foam insulation to really seal this space. There's about 7 inches of it in the floor, 7 or 8 inches in the ceiling, and we used 2x6 to construct this room, so there's 5.5 inches of spray foam insulation in these walls to keep this temperature consistent at the proper levels of about 56, 57 degrees year-round through the summer and the winter. Anyway, what we did is we put some sheetrock on this wall, which creates a nice contrast, along with the sheetrock ceiling, to the mahogany racking that we built. This owner really wanted to display his collection. This man's been collecting wine for a long time, probably longer than a lot of people who we have met over the years. And as such, he's got a great collection of older Bordeaux. If you look at this wall here, this is a horizontal display rack, I like to call it. All the bottles are shown right to left with the necks facing in either direction as opposed to the necks facing outward. And this rack was constructed to hold magnums. Now you can always put regular bottles in there too, but as you see, these are all magnums. And he's got a great collection. He's got some 1990 Haut-Brion. He's got some 1982 Cheval Blanc, which is a classic wine. He's got some great older vintages of Insignia from the 90s, all in magnum. So again, display is what this client was looking for. We created an entire wall of display racking for magnum, larger size bottles that can also handle the regular bottles. So this client had a lot of different size formats of wine that he was looking to store. As we discussed earlier, display wall for magnum storage, lots of individual bottle storage. He also had a couple of large format bottles that he was looking for space for, but he wanted to be able to display them prominently Again, so that if you're outside in the dining room looking in, you can see them. So what we did is we took part of this tasting counter here and we created a spot behind it that will hold 3-liter bottles. And you can see one here is the 94 Phelps Insignia, great bottle of wine. Time to drink it up though. And it'll also hold Imperials or Jeroboams. As you can see here, there's a Magnum of Champagne, which is a fairly large size bottle on its own. So he's used this space to store that as well. This cellar holds approximately 1,200 bottles. So there's a good amount of wine fit into not that large a space using the different racking styles that we have. The main focal point of the room was the back wall, since that's what you can see in through the window and in through the door. So what we did is we created a little bit of a funky display up top, which is different. Now, we build all our racking from scratch, so we can construct anything. The only constraint is your imagination. What we did is we created, again, the upper part of this rack, horizontal displays, and it starts out with an area 2 bottles deep, then it bumps back to 1 bottle deep, and then it comes back out again with 2 bottles deep. And as you can see, he's put some great bottles in the middle section. He's got more Cheval Blanc. He's got some 1986 Margaux, a classic Chateau Margaux, Chateau Latour from the 90s. And what we did is we flanked this with an area where we can stand up bottles. So again, it's not the best way to store wine, but as long as you interchange the bottles and they're not standing for years, it's okay. The corks won't dry out as long as they're put back down again so that the liquids stay in contact with the corks. Here's some 1996 Pichon Lalande, the second label. Let's have a little taste of this and see how well it's survived the last 17 years. Lastly, let me take you over here to our cooling unit wall. Here we did individual bottle racks. Again, necks facing outward. The canted display row, which traverses the room, except here in the middle where we have a little countertop area for opening bottles. And our cooling unit. We've been using these higher efficiency silent systems. They're more energy efficient than the systems we used to use. They're quiet. And what we do is we fabricate these custom mahogany diffusers, which allows them to breathe, allows the airflow, yet at the same time kind of hides the look of the evaporator. So this is it. This is the cellar that we built. It's been incorporated into the main floor plan, the main flow of the house. Great for dinner parties if you're entertaining in the dining room. It's a great conversation piece to be able to walk into your wine cellar in the middle of your dinner, grab a bottle, talk about it. And again, the collection is fabulous. Typical Bordeaux, notes of cassis, little bramble on here, some blackberry, darker fruits, which are consistent with the Pouilly region of Bordeaux. Thanks for joining us today here in Warren, New Jersey. You can also find us on the internet at www.washingtonvalleycellars.com. You can like us on Facebook at Washington Valley Cellars. Follow us on Twitter, where you'll be able to find some of our tasting notes of other great wines that we've been fortunate enough to sample with our clients. And if you want to find some more of these videos that we've created, our YouTube channel is Custom Wine Cellar Builder. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the day.